Good morning and welcome to the third edition of the SmartPort webinars. The previous webinars conducted by my colleagues, John Scott and Neil Escott, have proven to be very successful, so I am hoping to continue with the tradition today. First of all, I'd like to tell the new attendees, for those who haven't joined in the previous sessions, that you can engage in the chat at any time. And we will have question round towards the end, so the presentation will not be stopped until that point. And finally, you will see some pop-up polls in the screen where you can select the options and answer some questions, and then that feedback will be shared among all of us as well throughout the presentation. Okay, so I'm going to start by introducing myself. My name is Lucia Ramos, and I work as a sales engineer for the SmartPort product line in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. My history in the Kalmar and Cargotec family is not as extensive as my previous colleague presenters, but I have been working in the terminal business and in process automation for over 3 years now. And my previous position was working at a greenfield semi-automated terminal, where I had the opportunity to participate in the development of the terminal from very early stages. And I was able to implement the terminal operating system and also work with the integration of the TOS with other technologies like OCR, RFID, and DGPS, just to mention a few. Our discussions today are going to be focused on the gate-to-yard process and how we can use the SmartPort solutions to support this process and to enhance the security and safety at the terminal, while at the same time it can bring improvements to the performance and efficiency of the terminal. So let's begin by taking a minute to read what Kim Pfeiffer, CEO for APM Terminals, has to say about safety. So APMT has been the leader when it comes to, and the pioneer when it comes to introducing safety measures at their terminals. But increasingly, not only from them, but from many terminal operators, this is becoming the main trigger when it comes to choosing automation nowadays. So what is it that influences terminal or port safety? Well, first of all, now with the ships becoming bigger and bigger, the congestion is also increasing at the terminal. And to address some problems that come as a result of this, there is more labor being deployed in the yard and in dangerous areas of the terminal. Whether the terminal is automated or not is also a factor that influences safety, and we will get to see why throughout this presentation today. And also the job design, how well we try to keep and to avoid the labor from being exposed in dangerous situations while working at the terminal. The environmental conditions at which the terminal needs to work, whether it is very strong weather conditions or harsh weather conditions like strong winds or storms, dense mist or fog, also affects the safety. And finally, the human factor. How well trained is the staff to working at the terminal to avoid dangerous situations with high risk of injury? Usually nowadays there are regulations in the terminals regarding safety, but how well enforced are these regulations? Is everyone working at the terminal very much aware of the risks they're running when they're exposing themselves in the yard. And just to tell you an anecdote, when I was working on site at a terminal, one day I got to climb an STS in a very windy day, and the only safety measure I had taken was wearing the yellow vest, but I had no helmet and very improper shoes to be walking on an STS. So sometimes we're not really aware to what we're facing in the terminal environment. We also need to mention that when we're talking about safety, it doesn't involve only the people working, the employees of the terminal. It also involves everyone being in contact with the terminal working environment, such as contractors, subcontractors, or even third-party visitors. And the most common example for this are the truck companies, for instance. And finally, another interesting fact for some of the terminals operators' safety strategy is that they're being focused on the process safety. So this means trying to modify behaviors, methods of working, the organization of the work, so that there is a lower probability, to minimize the probability that one of those situations can result in an injury or in a fatality in the worst case. So what if using process automation we could reduce this probability to 0? So we have just discussed how the terminal can produce injury to the employees or the people being working at the terminal. But security deals more with how people or third-party visitors most often can produce some kind of harm to the terminal. However, we can always say that both security and safety are related, because a poor security can also lead to a poor safety. So what is it that affects terminal security? Well, in a terminal there are many containers, as you all know, and not all of them can be inspected. So we suffer the risk of smuggling, even terrorism, and also theft is something very common depending on the time of the part of the world where the terminal is operating, right? It can also happen that by mistake the wrong container is loaded into a truck and the truck leaves the terminal, and this can cause a lot of cost in delays and in claims from customers in a later stage. And as Mike O'Brien from Port of Auckland said, if we can track the street trucks while they are working at the terminal, we are already improving greatly the security, because we will know at each time where the truck is going and what it's doing. So how does automation, and process automation in particular, improves both safety and security? So the first thing I'd like you to show you is the chart, which is at the bottom right of the screen. If we take a look at the chart, we can see that in time, as the TEU increased, also did the injury index. But after the introduction of automation and also process automation, we can see that that index of injury can be reduced while the TEU volume that are being handled by the terminal continue to increase. So how is this possible? Well, basically what we reduce is the dependency of humans in working in high risk of injury areas at the terminal, and with this we improve safety greatly, and at the same time we avoid human errors in the data that they introduce manually that feed the TOS, for example, and other systems of the terminal. Now we will talk about how security can be improved using process automation. So, for example, if you can track the people that are working at the terminal and make sure that only the right people access the right areas, you can determine where they last were. You are locating anyone at the terminal at a given point in time. And also with the example of the truck tagging, you can determine where the truck is and was, because you can keep the logs of all the truck path and then replay it at a later stage, as we will see in the following slides. So before we continue and we get into the gate to yard process that we're going to discuss today, let's review a little bit what the SmartPort Alliance is and what it brings to the SmartPort solutions. So what we have done with the SmartPort Alliance is to partner with the best-of-breed technology providers, such as APS for the OCR, Simeo, who is our location tracking partner, with technologies such as DGPS and LPR. Zebra Technologies provides the RFID technology and hardware that we use in our solutions. And if we start thinking about a process automation project, we can easily define that a common factor is the amount of technology that is involved. And usually these technologies has different vendors. So the Alliance brings a lot of benefits for the customer, both before, during, and after the project. Before the project, because the customer doesn't need to worry and to deal with different vendors, to sign different contracts, which can introduce delays towards the start of the project. During the project, there's also a lot of benefits because our solutions are already integrated. So you don't need to worry with the integration and with the finger pointing of what's going wrong and what is delaying the project, which is sometimes something that happens in these situations where multiple vendors are involved. And after the project, as well as during the project, the ultimate responsible for the solution is Kalmar. So you only have one point of contact in case something happens, and both afterwards, our support team can easily troubleshoot any of the solutions that are deployed. So as it says here, the SmartPort Alliance provides the puzzle as a whole without you having to piece it together and take care of the things by yourself. So out of the 9 solutions that are part of the SmartPort process automation portfolio, we are going to be talking today about SmartLane, SmartTruck, SmartStack, SmartLift, and SmartFleet, and how the solutions help to improve not only safety and security, but also they help to eliminate delays, improve the visibility of the operation throughout the whole process at the terminal, increase the accuracy of information, and also utilize better the assets that we have at the terminal. So let's now take a look at this process comparison. We have the manual process of a terminal in the gate to yard process, and we have at the bottom what it would be the process automation flow. So in a general flow in the manual process, you would have a clerk that would receive the driver at the security entry gate, and it would take their papers and their information on why they are coming to the terminal, what they want to do. They would then create the event in the toss to trigger that job in the yard. And afterwards, they would indicate the driver where is it that he needs to go in the yard to be served. Once there, somehow the RTG driver gets the job information. Sometimes it's in a printed paper, sometimes it's via radio communication. And he selects the job that wants to execute when he finds that the truck is available. Somebody tells him that the truck is available. And afterwards, he needs to update the toss with the location information of where the container has been dropped. So in this process, he will also need to either communicate the position, complete the job manually somehow or somebody, and afterwards that truck would leave, and again there will be a gate clerk once again on the way out that will check that that driver has done whatever he came to do at the terminal, and that he is able to leave the terminal area. Now, with process automation, you can detect automatically when the truck arrives to the terminal using RFID technology. Then you can detect the container, that is on top of the truck when it goes through the OCR gate. And then you will have that information combined at a gate pedestal, where the driver will interact with the pedestal and confirm the transport order or the reference order that he is here to execute, and where he also be able to input an additional working instruction, perhaps to receive a container before leaving the terminal. So the module that will support this gate process automation is SmartLanes. Once the truck arrives to the yard location where he will be served, and this information will be given to them either by a printed receipt at the gate kiosk or pedestal, then it is possible to recognize automatically when that truck is in position to be served, and it can be promoted over other trucks that haven't arrived yet, and that perhaps they arrived before to the gate, but because of the location they needed to go, they are not in position. So it can be served right away, and after it's served, the handoff can also be automatically detected, so you don't have to select which job you are executing, and the RTG driver can focus only on driving, and the job instructions, the work instructions, will be automatically updated once he picks up the box from the truck. Afterwards, when the container is set using the PDS technology, the GPS in most of the cases, but we also have other technologies that we will discuss later, such as LPR. Automatically, that information will be sent to the SmartStack server, which is the solution that supports the automated inventory feature in the SmartPort solutions. And after processing that information, along with other information, telemetry from the RTG as well, we will be able to send the exact location where the box has been dropped to the terminal operating system. After that, if the truck decides to leave because he has no other job to perform at the terminal, then automatically all the checks that were being carried out by a clerk at the out gate will be automatically performed using OCR and RFID once again. So in the yard, the modules and the solutions that support the process automation are SmartLift for the handoff and job promotion, SmartStack for automated inventory, SmartFleet, which is our solution to monitor the status and the conditions of the equipment, of the container handling equipment, and SmartTrack, which will allow us to know the exact position where the truck is at all times at a terminal. So let's discuss now a little bit what is it involved from the hardware perspective when we're deploying the SmartLane solution. So to detect the container number and ISO code, we use OCR. We use a portal, and we use IP-based cameras, high-resolution cameras, and we use a combination of area and line scanning. All of this provided by our partner APS technology. And we deployed additional cameras for redundancy and to be able to take images of the front, back, top, and sides of the containers. The cameras are activated using ground loops, and we had LED illuminators to make sure that the images taken are of the best quality. If we want to deploy damage inspection as well, we need to add additional cameras, and then the images will be stored for the event of a claim, and they can be reviewed by a clerk remotely. So in the gate kiosk, we can have different types of features depending on the needs of the terminal. So we will have an intercom to be able to communicate with the gate clerks that are now taken out from the danger zone of the gate, where they can be run over by a truck, and they're placed in a gatehouse in a safe environment. Usually we have a touch screen, or we can have a keyboard to introduce the reference for the transport orders or work instructions that the truck needs to perform. And we can have an IP-based camera to be able to see the driver, barcode reader to introduce the data into the system automatically, just scanning a receipt. And we also provide the barriers, the street lights, LED boards, everything that we need to deploy the automated gate. Now, another important part of the solution is to be able to troubleshoot remotely when there is an exception. So for this, we have an exception management software that allows a clerk in the gatehouse to be able to troubleshoot and be able to reduce the amount of work when it comes to solving the exception. So basically what we aim with the smart lanes is to be able to reduce the overall truck turnaround times and reduce the congestion, and basically to have more throughput at the gate. So the smart truck solution, once the truck is inside the terminal, he can virtually go anywhere, right? So with this solution, as we mentioned before, we're able to track the trucks and replay their path. For those who attended the last webinar, we showed the Smart Map tool, which is still available online in the webinar website and also in YouTube. And we can also define areas in which the trucks are, we receive an alert if the truck is in that area because we don't expect him to be in that area. In order to do this, we use the same tags as in the gate. We only add either geofences in our software or exciters. And another feature besides the yard monitoring of the trucks is the wheel parking that we will explain briefly, and the community registration that we're working on. The community registration will be a tool in order to deal and centralize all the information regarding the registration with the tag and the track, and be able to distribute that to all the terminals working at a port. Sometimes some ports provide this feature, but not always. So by being able to monitor the trucks, we can increase the security, as we mentioned previously. So once the truck is in the terminal, we can change the mode of the RFID tag so that it blinks every 5 seconds. And then when the truck leaves the terminal, then it stops blinking and will only react with an exciter at the gate when it returns. And this, what it does is to improve and increase the lifetime of the tag. But with the 5-second blink and beacon that is called, we are able to implement the wheel parking feature. So with this blink, we will see the signature of the parking of a truck, and we'll be able to determine in which lot he has delivered the chassis with the container. And as we will see in the next solutions, the same tag again helps to implement SmartLift and to automate the handoff that we were talking about, and the job promotion as well. Here we can see the size of the RFID exciter, which is the workboard solution from Zebra, our partner. And it only needs power, no connectivity is needed, so the deployment is very easy and very neat. And if you need a proximity location in a different area, you just have to add one. So it's very easy to extend the solution by adding more workboards in the port, in the terminal. So now the truck has already entered the gate. He has been followed, we know where he is, and he has reached his destination to be served. So he's at a yard block probably, and using the SmartLift solution, the RTG operator will be able to identify that this truck is already in position. The software will promote this job to the first place in the list. And once he picks up the container, the handoff will also be automated. The main advantage of this solution is that it will increase the RTG operator productivity. It will improve safety because the RTG operator will only need to be focusing on driving and making sure he doesn't collide with the stack, and making sure he executes the next job as quickly as possible without having to complete the job order manually or input any sort of information into the system. So the technology that we need in order to provide this is RFID exciters in the RTG or in other container handling equipment such as reach stacker or straddle carrier, for instance. And we will have the application software, and we also need, in order to promote a job, we also need to know the location of the RTG as well as the location of the truck, and that's why we use the GPS for that. What we're working on for the future is to be able to optimize the job list so that the holistic terminal needs can be taken into account in the yard, and we can deliver a container that perhaps is causing delays or a bottleneck in one of the operations that are taking place at the terminal. Now the next stage is, where do we set down the box in our yard? As we saw in the flow, without automation, a driver needs to input the location, or sometimes he needs to confirm the location that the TOS has provided. But not always the drivers locate the container where they were told to locate it, for a number of reasons. But either way, if we implement automated inventory, we will always know where the container is, and we can remove the necessity of having people walking around in the yard looking for lost containers. So safety is improved because we are eliminating the probability of risk that we discussed about previously. And recently, this has been one of the lead reasons why a major terminal operator has made a considerable SmartStack order for several of their terminals in order to remove completely the people that are walking in the yard looking for containers or confirming positions of where containers have been dropped. In order to deploy this technology, we can use a number of positioning technologies. We can either do this using DGPS, which is differential GPS that relies on the satellite availability. But we have accuracy within a meter with a very high consistency, and we also have another possibility, which is the LPR, the location position technology. Both technologies are provided by our partner Simeo, and we also use the Kalmar onboard processor in order to receive the input from the PDS, the DGPS or LPR position, and also receive the telemetry from the equipment in order to see where the twist locks, for example, are engaged or disengaged and locked or open. Also to see what's the height of the spreader to determine the tier, and so on. And all of this information is then sent to the SmartStack server where it is processed, and then the logical position that the TOS understands is sent in terms of block, bay, row, and tier. So what this allows is to have hands-free equipment operation. The driver doesn't need to input any information manually on the location. It allows us to stop losing containers. We will always know where the container was placed, and we always keep track of all the history of in the logs of the information received, and we can always go back to that and see what happened with the container. We have different options to deploy this solution. We can either do it for automated yard inventory in terminals perpendicular to the quay, with a perpendicular layout to the quay. We can use this technology in the waterside transfer zones. Which technology in terms of PDS we use, DGPS or LPR, will depend on a number of reasons. Basically, DGPS depends on the satellite availability. So sometimes if you have very high stacks or very high buildings surrounding the yard area, also at the quayside with the presence of all the metal of the cranes or the ships being serviced, the signal bounces and creates multipath. So the position that we can receive is not going to be accurate. But LPR doesn't rely on any satellite. We have our own infrastructure for that technology. And with that technology, we can guarantee that we can locate even under the quay crane and in the waterside transfer area and the quayside in general, or areas where there is virtually no visibility of the satellites. So we will now describe a little bit the SmartFleet solution. This solution allows to monitor the equipment so that we can provide a more efficient maintenance, and also we can improve safety because the engineers can troubleshoot remotely what's going on and what's wrong with the equipment before actually opening the machine and seeing what's in there. So we have different features in this solution. We have the remote monitoring that we just mentioned. We have an analysis tool which allows us to go back and see the history of all the telemetry that was received. What we gather in this tool is telemetry received either via PLC inputs or Canvas inputs. It is also possible to add sensors for specific information. And what can be provided pretty much depends on the equipment and what the equipment can provide. Something that we're working on as well is the predictive maintenance, be able to determine when an equipment needs to be taken out of operation to do maintenance instead of doing it regularly, when nowadays the assets are scarce because of the whole operation, and taking out a machine to do some maintenance might mean that the productivity of a specific vessel will be affected because there's less equipment available to serve that operation. So with the Kalmar onboard processor that is common in several of our solutions, we can receive all this telemetry and have it sent so that it can be accessed remotely. And I will now pass the word to my colleague Mika Petteri, who will carry on with a SmartFleet demonstration of the tool. You can press the full screen button to see this presentation.
Thank you. My name is Mika Petteri Kuro, and today I'm going to give you a demonstration of our SmartFleet monitoring tool. SmartFleet fits any type of equipment, increasing availability and safety by allowing all monitoring to be done remotely. The data shown is from one of our existing applications. SmartFleet is built so that you have fleet overview with the basic information on one screen. Each box represents one machine. The main icons tell you the vehicle number, the engine information, on, active or off, whether there is a Wi-Fi connection, the stability of the machine to prevent tipping over, and the warnings. Alarms are shown in yellow and red, with the latter being more urgent. Finally, the total running hours are shown for each machine. At times, the fleet overview will not provide sufficient detail. By double-clicking a machine, more detailed information can be accessed. The statistics screen shows cumulative counter values as well as actual numbers. On the top, common information and current status information is displayed. At the bottom of the screen, there are data shown related to machine moving, actual speeds, and cumulative hour and counters. On the right side, you can see counters for moved containers and actual from the current load. The engine overview shows an engineer how the engine is currently used. The fuel-related figures and actual such as speed and air temperatures are illustrated as well. The engineer can also see whether the pressures are correct and if the coolant level low warning is active. It's inactive now, so that level is okay. SmartFleet also ensures data trace where key values are visualized in trends. When a machine utilizes electric power, details related to electric drives and generators are visualized in AC Electrics pages. Brakes and hydraulics is focused on temperatures and various on-off type warnings for those systems. Hoisting is a major part of the operation. On the left, you can see hoist speed from PLC and container weight. On the right, safety-related data visualized with on-off LEDs. Furthermore, there are LEDs showing the hoist direction and joystick reference, showing the values the drivers are asking from the joystick. Auxiliary systems show whatever auxiliary systems are included in the machine. In this case, central applications. Other options to be shown could include, for instance, tire pressures. Moving into spreader tab, we see basic figures about spreader, like length and height. On the spreader, there are indicators showing the status of twist locks and land pins. The alarms page provides an overview of the information of recent alarms with timestamp. The alarm index helps tracking the number of alarms in the system. Error code is the error classification from 1 to 7, where 7 is the most critical. The error source can be found from the source function with the description for that error being provided. Gantry travel related data is visualized in this page. On the left hand side there are figures and trend of drive models. On the right there is a speed pedal reference indicating the driver's behavior. Idle times presented are preset values for the machine, telling what is the threshold time for machine to make those maneuvers. At down right corner, driving speed is shown both in number and in trend as well. Now you have seen a short demonstration of our application for real-time monitoring of the machine fleet. Like mentioned in the beginning, the data shown in the screens was recorded from a live application. What we have shown from the SmartFleet tool today shows the remote monitoring and troubleshooting. Additionally, SmartFleet has a module collecting data and storing it for review and analysis at a later date. Should you have any questions on SmartFleet, don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you.
Okay, so we will continue now. So in this slide, we can see the SmartPort project highlights that we have implemented most recently. For the solutions that we have been discussing today, we can see that SPRC Columbia, TTA Long Beach, APMT Elizabeth has most of the solutions that we discussed have been deployed there. Also, we have other reference sites in London Gateway for SmartStack and SmartPath. Malta has implemented both SmartPath and SmartFleet recently. There's also a video available in the first webinar where you can see how the solution works and you can see their feedback. They're very happy customers, for now at least. And in Aarhus, we also have SmartFleet, and Salala and Transnet are also in the process of implementing SmartStack solution for automated inventory. Should you have any questions on any of these sites, or if you would like to receive contact information to have be able to talk with our customers per hand, just let us know and we will be happy to provide those details to you. So we're putting the example of the Port of New York and New Jersey in this slide because security was one of the main reasons why they started deploying our solutions. As you can see, all of these terminals have the SmartLane solution. The government in the US gives some grant money to implement some solutions, so the terminals can claim back that money, and that was why this investment was made. But as you can see, both in APMT Elizabeth and Global Marine, the customer decided to implement more solutions. And an important thing to notice is that once you have the truck community using the tags that we talked about, the RFID tags from Zebra, then you can easily choose to add on another solution such as Smart Trucks to be able to see where the truck is at all times once inside the terminal, and also the SmartLift solution that we talked about. So this is an approach that some terminal operators take. So they first invest in one solution and then they start adding on top. And the good thing about our solutions is that we share a lot of the hardware platform among the different solutions. So the SmartPort process automation solutions work with your tools and with your equipment. While it is true that both Navis and Kalmar equipment, which are part of the SmartPort Alliance, being part of the Cargotec family brands, have an added bonus, which is that our solutions are already integrated. We share our roadmaps. We know what's coming in the future. We know our equipment. We know what they can deliver. So there's less time involved from our side in order to determine the conditions of the equipment. However, we have already deployed our solutions, both SmartFleet, SmartLifts, SmartStack, in non-Kalmar equipment and in non-Navi sites. So we can say that we are completely TOS independent and equipment independent as well. Okay, so our customer support organization it is driven by the customers. So we give the possibility to rate all of the cases opened by the customers when they close it. And currently our customer satisfaction score is almost 5, it's 4.9. So our customers are very happy with what we deliver. Our customer support staff have taken part previously in deployment of our projects and our solutions. And they have also been trained by our partners, so they can troubleshoot all the technology that is involved in our solutions, even though it is APSs or Simeus or Kalmar. It doesn't matter. As part of the service that you will receive, we have followed the sun support. We have regional support centers in different time zones of the world to make sure that we can cover the different time zones and address the top priority cases at any time and resolve them in the adequate time. And as part of the M&S, the customer will receive patches, hot fixes, and upgrades when we deliver new functionality of our solutions. So before going to the end, we will have some time now for question and answer round. So feel free to ask any questions, and either myself or a member of the SmartPort team, who is online as well, will try to answer you. Okay, so how much does it cost? So the cost will depend on the solutions being deployed, on the number of equipment. So it's not easy to give a cost without knowing the exact conditions and operating system of the terminal. So the way it operates, I meant. So we will be happy to supply a budget if you request us so. And we will get in touch with you and analyze what you're looking for and deliver a budget. Okay, so another question is, how long does it take to install our solutions? Well, this will depend, again, on which solutions we're talking about, the number of equipment. But one thing to take into account is that Kalmar can provide the complete installation of the solution, or otherwise we have a very defined process for implementing our solutions, and we can deliver the first installs, create a manual, train the terminal staff, and the terminal staff can complete the installation. And at a later stage, we will go back to the terminal and commission that the equipment has been correctly installed and finalize the testing and deliver the project. We have proven track of our projects being delivered on time. Okay, so the RFID tags and manufacturers. Is there a list of compliant tag manufacturers? Well, within our solutions, we use the RFID tags that we mentioned from Zebra. This technology is very proven. It has been used in the States for many years now. And as they were mentioning in the chat, it works very, very well. If you want to receive a detail of what the tax specification is, then we can easily send that to you after the webinar. Case studies for SmartLane and SmartLift. I'm going to have to check on that to see if we actually have a case study from a customer. We have definitely deployed both solutions, so I'm sure that we can engage in discussion and we can present you with a case that we have done and get you the information that you need. Another question is, have you installed SmartLane in a North European port? SmartLane hasn't been installed in a North European port, but we have a lot of references available, as we mentioned, in the States. And we can give you the information from that. It hasn't been deployed yet in a North European site. Oh, okay, there's one more question that I was missing. Sorry about that. We're using live view solution from Zebra in Eurogate Tangier. I cannot... It is deprecated and substituted by the Smart solution. Well, I would have to... I am not familiar with the Eurogate project, unfortunately, so I would have to check exactly who supplied this solution. If it's from Zebra and we didn't supply it, then I am not sure of which solution we are talking about. But I'll get back to you with that question, Francesco. Is there a difference between SmartPath and Navis Prime Route? Well, we haven't talked about SmartPath in this, and this will be the last question because we're running out of time. But it's a very interesting question, even though we haven't discussed the SmartPath solution. What SmartPath does is to feed Prime Route. So it's not a different thing. It's actually to optimize Prime Route. If you're familiar with Prime Route, you'll know that you have to press the F1 button or some sort of input from the driver where we are in different areas and approaching, for example, the STS crane to be served, so that Prime Route can give an optimal dispatching, knowing that this truck is in position. What SmartPath does is that it completely automates this, so the driver doesn't need to input anything, and using the GPS location of the truck automatically and defining geofences around the point of work, automatically this information is sent. So we're talking about the same thing. It enhances and optimizes Prime Route. Thank you for the questions. We will go back now to finalize the presentation. Okay, so we have talked today about process automation, how it can enhance safety and security, while also bringing and improving the terminal efficiency overall. The process automation allows the manual terminals to do a relatively small investment and be more competitive with the new automated terminals, because they can reduce the labor and they can improve their efficiency and their performance. And as we mentioned, it is an accessible way to get immediate productivity improvements for a relatively small initial investment. We are going to participate in the TOC, the upcoming 25th to 27th of June. We invite you to approach us, talk to us, and tell us what your needs are, what problems you're trying to overcome at your terminal, and what solutions you're interested in. And we'll be happy to give you all the information you need and to support you and give you a quotation. My email address appears at the bottom of this slide. Feel free to contact me at any time to ask me any question, and I'll happily reply as soon as possible. I'd like to thank you once again for joining us today in this webinar and giving us the opportunity to share with you what we do and our solutions. And I hope to see you all very soon and meet at the TOC. Thank you very much and have a good day.